Today's episode of Outside the Rack is brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of the Gymaware. In today's world of strength and conditioning, data collections become the utmost of importance, and that's exactly where Gymaware separates itself from the competition. Because when we're sitting there and looking to collect data, what data are you actually collecting? And are the numbers you're looking at fitting into the exercises that you're utilizing? And even more so, are they going to answer the questions that you're looking for? Looking at different ways that you are moving the barbell through peak and mean, both velocity and power, is really what separates Gymaware from the competition. Being able to understand what your ballistic exercises are doing separate to what your strength exercises are doing really allows you to program at a much more specific level for your athletes. So hop on over to kinetic.com.au to see what Evan and his team have in store for you today. The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some fantastic practitioners that are always searching for more. But more what? What are strength and conditioning coaches searching for to better their ability to prepare their athletes? Well, what about cutting edge information? Or a place where you can find different opinions from forward-thinking coaches on what you're doing, how you're doing, and try to get feedback to be better for your athletes? Or what about a place where you'll find like-minded coaches that can provide solid coaching advice and career development for you as you progress through your career as a strength and conditioning professional? Well, this is exactly why we built the Strength Coach Network. You'll have access to exclusive monthly content on top of the sensationally active forum that we have where you can communicate with coaches all over the world to find those answers that you're looking for to help you be a better practitioner for your athletes. So make sure you hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, that's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 15th episode of Outside the Rack, brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of Gymaware. In this show, we're going to try to dive a little deeper into the minds of some of the top practitioners in the world of sport performance to learn a little bit more about who they actually are and how they got to where they are today. Today, we are joined by the strength and conditioning coach for men's basketball at Butler University, Matt Johnson. MJ, thanks for being with us, brother.
Jay, thanks for having me on, man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked for this. And we just had some good talk before. We always have good talks, but I think this first question before we even get rolling into it is super important, my man. Who is Matt Johnson?
Matt Johnson is an investor. And I'm not talking about money or stocks. I'm talking about people. I find a lot of joy in the mentorship that goes along with my job, and just enjoy the relationships, whether it be with fellow coaches like yourself, sport coaches, and my athletes. And I think that along with that too is Matt Johnson is Matt Johnson. I've always, prided myself on being real and, keep it 100, right? And holding myself to the values and morals that my mother and father raised me with and my mentors in this profession led me with. And so just always be myself, man.
I love it, brother. An investor. I love that. That's rad. That's rad.
Investor, man. I mean, I obviously, strength and conditioning coach, but those are two things I always try to hold myself to.
No doubt. I love that, man. Well, listen, let's get to number one, buddy. But if you could, describe a learning situation that brought about an epiphany in your career.
Well, I have two for you. One is train the walk-on as hard as the MVP. And, I talking to different coaches and kind of getting an inside glimpse of other people's culture. Walk-ons sometimes aren't even included in the weight room. It's like, hey, just come to practice, man, put on the red jersey and chase our guys around and try to make them better. But for me, I've always included them in the physical fitness, the preparation, the performance side of things, because what I've found out is they're going to be our hardest working guys consistently in practice. They have to be highly fit, they have to be strong, they have to be athletic, and they have to be within the athletic capability of our opponents, right? So if I'm not putting a good stock out there in terms of our walk-ons, our guys aren't really getting a good look, right? So obviously the MVP is the most valuable player, right? But they can't be the most valuable player if the walk-on's not pushing them every day. So for me, it's they are an integral part to our success. They're not to be overlooked or undervalued or forgotten about. I'm pushing those guys extremely hard every single day.
I dig it, man. I love that. Like, and I think that finding value in those young people that don't necessarily get valued by a lot of people outside of the team
Mm-hmm.
is super rewarding.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I to go along with that too. I think, for me, with the growth of technology in strength and conditioning, but also inside my career. When I started off, it was largely based on feel, right? So you've probably heard the saying, to train the sport, you have to see the sport, or you have to feel the sport, be on the sideline. And what I've figured out is you also have to quantify the sport, and that's where the technology piece really comes in. So for us, we have Kinexon here. We're in the early phases, and we're not collecting a lot of metrics. And kind of going off of Mark's presentation from the seminar this summer, it's like there was 1,100 data points that they collect, and they look at three things. And so I took a lot away from that, and I'm applying that now here with our team. And to kind of hit you with some numbers, in 3 weeks, we've accumulated 59.6 miles on the court. We've jumped 1,359 times. And we had 262 top end sprints. Top end sprint is greater than 12 miles per hour. So in that 3-week period, that was 14 practices and 2 games. Okay, so it's all necessary, right? Practicing is necessary, the weight room is necessary, but how can we quantify the sport to be better in our roles, right, for our athletes? And this is the power of technology, right? So same thing with VBT. Any veteran coach can look at it and go off of feel, right? Or just the eye test is, okay, that looks pretty fast. But we don't exactly know in terms of meters per second how fast the bar is moving, right? So the difference between winning and losing, right, is quantifying things, right? Being exact and going off of facts and scientific instrumentation.
I love that, man. The difference between winning and losing is quantifying things. That's a big time. That's a big time quote.
Yeah, it's huge for me, man. I mean, I've learned that there's so many factors to a team's success. It's never just one thing. It's not one puzzle piece, and you're consistently taking pieces off the board and shuffling them around, and you're trying to find a fit, right? And I think for years, like I was on the dartboard, right? I was throwing darts, and I think we were scoring some points, right? But with technology, you're getting closer to hitting bullseyes. And I think if you're consistently doing that, the puzzle pieces are fitting together better, and it gives you a better chance to be successful.
Could not agree more. And now when you're talking about that and you're talking about finding those pieces, and you are an inquisitive guy, and we do ask each other questions all the time, this next one is a great one to ask. And if MJ had one question that he could ask and he knows he would get the answer to it, what would that question be and why, brother?
Was I good enough? Was I a good enough mentor? Was I a good enough leader? Did I set a good enough standard? Did I place a good enough emphasis on the things that I needed to emphasize? And for me, you know, it's like I started off, and winning was very important to me. And my word of advice to anybody is, if the only reason you do this is to win, you're missing some really valuable parts of this profession. And the ability to lead men and women and to grow men and women into better people, right? And you know, I have a lot of mentors and people that I highly respect and I've learned from over the years. And one of my mentors is actually not a strength and conditioning coach. He's a basketball coach, Coach Kevin Sutton. He's currently at Rhode Island as assistant coach, but he's been many other places. And he has the term living trophies. And for me, when he first shared that with me, I didn't understand really what he was talking about, but now I do. And it's a person that wears the jersey. Early on in Matt Johnson's career, I was just focusing on the jersey. I was focusing on the athlete, and I was focusing on winning games. But for me, probably the last 5 to 8 years, I've focused on the person, and it's been far more rewarding for me. And quite honestly, I've been getting better results out of my program.
I love it, man. I love it. You know, coach the kid, not the jersey, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, I I think that can be forgotten about a little bit.
No doubt,
Right.
man. No
Right.
doubt.
I think it can be overlooked. And we're in strength and conditioning probably because at some point in our lives we were an athlete, right? We played a sport and we had a coach. And what I encourage people to do is think about those good coaches that you had when you were an athlete. And why were they good? Because they invest in you as people. They care about you. Maybe they gave you a ride home from practice when your mom or dad was, you know, late because work ran over, right? Remember, maybe they remembered it was your birthday and they brought some cookies to practice or something like that. Or maybe you were sick and they dropped off 3 cases of water for you and some airborne, right? And said, "Hey, get better, Jay. Want to get you back at practice pretty soon." And you know, that's where I want to be good enough in that realm.
I love it, man. Well, listen, dude, kind of fitting that we're recording this the day college basketball starts because there's almost none of this in sight for a long time. But you talk a lot about the balance, man, and taking care of number one. So, what's MJ's escape?
My escape is the woods. I'm a big outdoorsman. I love being adventurous and going on hikes. And it just there's a solitude and there's an escape to it. You know, when you're, you know, out on the trails and you kind of disconnect a little bit. I really love that. My escape also is the kitchen. Over the last couple of years, I've really gotten into cooking, and my fiance and I, like, we take every Sunday and go grocery shopping and meal prep and get all the Tupperwares loaded up. And that's just a fun time where I feel like I'm doing something for myself, and that's going to help me during the week. And honestly, after I get it done, I feel at ease, right? So I don't get any Sunday scaries or anything like that, because I feel prepared, because I know the week's going to probably be busy going to and from practices, and now traveling with games and whatnot. So knowing that I have some good healthy food to put in my body is also an escape of mine as well.
I dig it, brother. This is great, man. Truly appreciate your time, bud. It's always great catching up.
Always, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch soon.
All right, sounds good.